All right, working with formulas. This is part 2 for, which section is this? Linear inequalities and working with formulas. So from this packet, we're on the second piece, working with formulas portion, to solve for a desired variable. So we are just going to be solving for variables. You're going to isolate the desired variable on one side of the equation, and it's the same general process that we've been using for solving an equation. But we often cannot compute at each step in the solving process. Sometimes it's just all variables, as in what we're going to be dealing with. And then to find a missing value, you can plug in the given values and solve. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So when you're solving just means getting one thing that we're looking for to be solved for, means that one thing needs to be on one side of the equal sign and everything else on the left, or the other side, sorry. So in this case, we have V is equal to LWH. Even if you don't know what those mean, we can still solve for W. What this is referring to is volume is equal to length times width times height. For those of you who are moving on to problem solving, Math 1500, this is going to be utilized in that portion of the class. Dog hair, sorry about that. So in this case, we are going to be solving for W. Well, V is on one side equal to, these are all multiplied. How do you get rid of items that are multiplied to the item you want all by its little lonesome? You divide. You divide both sides by those items. I'm going to rewrite this as V is equal to L times W times H. And we're just going to divide both sides of the equal sign by the L, so it'll go away, and the H. And they will reduce. But what we do to one side, we have to do to the other. Now, W is by itself, and volume is divided by length times height. You could also just write LH. All right, let's come down here to, this is the perimeter for a rectangle, and we're going to solve for L. So its perimeter is equal to 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. We're going to first get rid of this 2W. So we're going to subtract 2W from both sides of the equal sign. P minus 2W is equal to 2L. 2 is attached to L by multiplication. We're going to do opposite multiplication. We're going to divide both sides by 2. So this is gone. It's now just L. Now, a couple things I want you to see here. You cannot just reduce this. Please don't think you can do that. You cannot. If this was multiplied, you could. But because this is subtraction, or if it was an addition, you cannot just reduce this. Here's what you can do. You can either leave it just as it is, which is perfectly fine, or you could write P over 2 minus 2 over 2W. Now you can reduce that to P over 2 minus W is equal to L. So this would be a fine answer, but so would L equaling this. Both of those are perfectly fine answers. You cannot reduce these two until you've separated them into having their own individual denominators. Okay, let's go to the next one. I know my daughter just told me that students don't do this whenever I ask them to do it because they don't want to, and they'd rather just watch. I'm only recommending this because it's in your best interest to give you a chance to fail. And I've discussed this in my previous videos. You've got 5x plus y is equal to negative 17. I want you to solve for y. Come back to see how you did. Solving for y. 5x is added to it, so we need to subtract 5x from both sides. Y is equal to negative 5x minus 17. Could you have instead written negative 17 minus 5x? Of course you could. It's the same exact thing. This is your answer. All right. 2x plus 3y is equal to 18. Solving for y. Again, pause the video, attempt this yourself, and then come back to see how you did. And she giggles at me. All right, I'm going to rewrite this. 2x plus 3y is equal to 18. I'm subtracting 2x from both sides of the equal sign. Bringing this down, 3y is negative 2x plus 18, or 18 minus 2x, your call. And then we're going to divide both sides of the equal sign by 3. So y is equal to negative 2x plus 18 over 3. This is your answer. If you wanted to reduce this, you can. However, you've got to break them up individually, because otherwise it's not going to work. Now you can reduce this. This one can't be reduced. So this is y equals negative 2/3 x, but 18 over 3 is 6. Again, I would accept this one, but I would also accept this one. I will not, however, accept negative 2x plus 6. That would be wrong. You can't just reduce this. All right. Oh my God. So sorry. The next one, solving for y. 4y minus 6x is equal to 12. Pause the video, attempt this one, and come back to see how you did. I'm going to start by adding 6x to both sides. 4y is equal to 6x plus 12. Divide both sides by 4. Y is equal to 6x plus 12 over 4. Now, these are all reducible by 2. So I would go ahead and break this into two parentheses. I'm sorry, into two different terms, and not all over the denominator of 4. It's going to make you have fewer mistakes. This I'm going to expect to be reduced. So to save any stress on how to do that, go ahead and just write them as over the same denominator. All right. And when you do that, 6 over 4, these can both be reduced by 2. So y is equal to 3/2 x. And then 12 divided by 4 is 3. They're both divisible by 4. All right. The next one is V equals pi r squared h for h. This is the volume for a cylinder. Again, you're going to use this in problem solving, your Math 1500 class. We're going to solve for h. So I'm just going to rewrite this real quick. Pi r squared h. We're solving to get h all by its lonesome. These are all multiplied to h. So I'm just going to divide both sides by pi r squared. They'll go away over here and pop up over here. So h is equal to the volume over pi r squared. The next one, solving for m sub 1. Don't freak out with the numbers. They're just referencing that we've got two different masses here. So F is equal to G times m sub 1 times m sub 2 all over the radius, or r squared. And we just want m sub 1 by its lonesome. So we're going to start, I'm going to rewrite the whole thing again, m1, m2, all over r squared. First thing I want to get rid of is that denominator. Y'all don't like fractions. Let's get rid of the fraction. Again, I'm not going to use the words cross multiplication because students tend to get messed up on when they can use that. So I'm going to just multiply both sides of the equal sign by r squared. It goes away here, and we're left with it over here. So this becomes fr squared, or r squared f, either way, equals g m sub 1, m sub 2. Now these are all multiplied, and we want just m1 left on this side. So we're going to divide both sides by g m2, g m sub 2. Gone, gone. We're left with m sub 1, which we wanted, is equal to fr squared over g m sub 2. All right, last one on this page. Solving for h. Lots happening here. First thing we need to do, there's no h in this, so it can just go away. It needs to be subtracted from both sides. It's positive, so I'm going to subtract 2 pi r squared from both sides of the equal sign. And we have a minus 2 pi r squared And that leaves us with 2 pi RH. Now, 2 pi r is multiplied to h. So we're going to divide both sides by 2 pi r. Gone, 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 and gone. We're left with h is equal to a minus 2 pi r squared over 2 pi r. Again, you cannot just reduce these. This is subtracted from a. So if you want to reduce, which I'm totally cool with, first of all, I'm cool with this answer because we've solved for h. But if you want to reduce it further, here's what you need to understand. This h is equal to a over 2 pi r minus 2 pi r squared over 2 pi r. That's what this means. So when you reduce it, it's still a over 2 pi r minus reduced, reduced. This will reduce, and it becomes 1r instead. And that's all you have left from that fraction. You can do that, but only if you separate them into two terms and not leave it as one term. You cannot reduce it otherwise. All right, last page. Find the missing value. Here's where we're going to substitute. We're going to substitute the numbers for the variables and solve. All right, we're evaluating at this point. So P is equal to 2L plus 2W. Again, this is for my problem solving folks who are moving on. Perimeter is 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. So we're going to find L. I'm not going to solve for L initially. I'm going to substitute first. I find fewer mistakes happen that way. So they're telling us we're going to substitute 42 for P. And we don't know what L is. And for the W, we're going to substitute for the width, we're going to substitute 8. Do not put your units in when you're substituting and solving. You're going to use the unit at the end whenever you answer the question. And always use your unit. So 42 is equal to 2L plus 2 times 8 is 16. Solving for L, we're going to subtract 16 from both sides. (42 minus 16 is 26. And this is 2L, so we're choose multiply to L. We're going to divide both sides by 2. And 26 divided by 2 is 13. So L is 13. Now, you're not going to circle this. That would be wrong. All right, the length is not 13. The length is 13 feet. Units are muy importante, very, very important. In fact, in problem solving, you would have to answer this in a sentence saying the length is 13 feet. Just a little preamp for that. The next one, we're going to substitute and simplify. We've got y is equal to x minus 3 squared plus 4. You're going to use this if you're going to do college algebra trig, which is math 1590. Now we're going to find y, it's already solved for, but when x is equal to 5. So where the x is, I'm going to write everything else, and I'm going to substitute 5 for my x. All we're doing. And now we're going to simplify. Start with what's happening in the parentheses. 5 minus 3 is 2. Bring everything else down. Now we're going to go 2 squared, which is 4. 2 times 2 plus 4, bringing that down. And then y is equal to 8. And that is your answer. There's no units here, so y is strictly 8. The next one is using 3x plus 5y is equal to 15. We're going to find x when y is 4. So I'm just going to substitute 4 for my y. This 5 is multiplied to y, not added. So that 5 needs to be multiplied to that 4, not added. Be careful. This is something I see students do. Let's simplify. 5 times 4 is 20. Solving for x, I need to get rid of the 20 first. Subtracting it from both sides. 3x is equal to 15 minus 20. Subtract and take the sign of the larger number. And then 3 is attached to x by multiplication, so we're going to divide both sides by 3. X is equal to -5/3. That's it. That's the end of the lecture. Email me if you have questions. I'm happy to meet up with you on Zoom. Let's get you through this.